Hello, welcome back. So, I was thinking about what I could do that wouldn't be eating away at my For Full series, because obviously that's my golden goose, my crystal egg, my shalom to my shalim, you know what I'm saying? It's my big deal type thing, and I would really like to not eat away at it because I really like making them, and I also like making other content and all that. And I also just need to keep something paced out, because like if I only upload for full series, that's all I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? I need to be something more than just this one trick pony for this. I can be a one trick on League of Legends for Ornn, because he's hot. But I can't be a one trick on YouTube. You know what I mean? So simply, I wanted to make content for Risk of Rain, and this was my thought. I decided to make a Risk of Rain type of tier list thing that I've seen in the Dead by Daylight community, and I thought making some interesting type of tier list that used to interest me could be very interesting to everyone else. So, without further ado, this is going to be my tier list on what characters would be best for a character and what bosses would be worse for a certain character, as well as flipping the tables and saying what characters are best to take on those bosses ranked against the other characters. I think that might make sense. It's gonna be hard to explain because I'm fucking stupid, but you'll see it as we go on. And if you don't agree with me, tell me why in the comments. Commando is really hard to rank on this because he's a generalist. It's very marginal. Like what I was just talking about, it is so much harder with this guy because his whole thing is a generalist class. I don't think anyone in this game is so much of a generalist than him. You know what I mean? His whole thing is generalist. But I put in the Grandfather because he has the means to get out of the way. He has that lap to throw the grenades into, so it's just a slam dunk. And, you know, there's just a lot of ways of dealing with this Grandfather. But, honestly, like, the Grandfather is one of the easiest bosses to take out, so that's not too much to say. And I said the worst was the Imp, just because those little spikes it throws out can harsh your mellow when you're sliding. And you might not be paying attention and just slide into those, and you might not be paying attention just trying to shoot everything and just get fucking pounded. The Huntress was in a similar boat to being really hard to grade, but that's because she's really strong just all throughout, and it's really hard to grade her performance. But I said the best was the Grovetender because a lot of their abilities are very like hit and miss, and you can just move to the other side and not be hit by the chains. And when it's spitting out wisps, you can just not even look at them and they just die. You just shoot. You know, you keep pressing mouse 1 and they just die. The worst, in my opinion, is the Construct because you have to be close enough to hit it. And there's so much shit spawning on the map because of it. There's so many constructs and there's like 4 on it just normally. It puts up a wall to block your shit. And if you're caught out even a little bit, you're going to get laser beamed. So it just makes your life a lot harder. The Bandit, I would say his best is the Grovetender, just because he wants to be at their back anyway. So moving off to the side to avoid the chains, to just shoot them in the back is a lot easier. And you could say that the Stone Titan could be as easiest because it has a big ass back, but it also can just laser beam him. So I would say the Grovetender is the easiest. This could depend on your setup, but I'd say the Construct is the hardest because it can move around really fast, it laser beams you, and there's no back to hit, as well as it's so high in the sky that you're not going to be able to hit it very much with your shotgun if that's what you have equipped. If you have the assault rifle, I don't think it would be too bad, but I think it'd still be pretty annoying with the assault rifle. MUL-T's a weird one because no matter what I do, he's always going to be a little different because of how his primaries are. So I'm just going to run under the assumption that he's running both of the same type and just go with that. And I'm just going to list them off like boom, boom, boom and not give reasons because fuck me. The best for the Nails multi is Clay Dunestrider, worst is for the Viagra Rebar multi. The best is the Solus. I'll give a little reason here, is because he can basically just insta-kill him sometimes if he knocks him in the walls of the map. Worst is the Magma Worm, Rock multi, finally, rock multi. For the rocket multi is the Beetle, and the worst is the Magma Worm. And the Saw multi, the best is the Stone Titan, and the worst is basically every other boss because it's just a fucking meme. Honestly, this is gonna be really hard because the engineer is just like really good. I mean, all of them are, but like they have some weak points and stuff, but he's just all around a fucking unit. In my opinion, I think the Vagrant is the easiest, and I think the fucking Clay Dunestrider is the hardest. I fucking hate the Clay Dunestrider. I've had so many problems with it, and to be brutally honest with you, it's probably because I spend too much time dicking around, but I don't fucking care. I hate the Clay Dunestrider. Fuck me. You may notice that I am changing in tones and volumes and all this shit throughout the video, and that is because I am poking in and out to change my thoughts because I have played more of these characters in the recent month, and I have changed my ideas and my opinions. So currently, I still think the best for Artificer is the Beetle Queen. I think a lot of her AoE shit can just destroy the Beetle Queen really fast and just make her life fucking beautiful. I think the Viagra is a second best, but anyway. And I think the worst, I said the Constructor first, which it can be, but if you have anything to get up in the air, it's not that big of a problem. And you can usually just burst it down pretty easy anyway. But I would say the Stone Titan is the worst, because sometimes you're just caught out and you're dead. Like, there's no fucking way you survive that. You're just a corpse. I'd actually say that the Ninja Wannabe is the best against the Construct, just because the Zip Zap Zoobity Bop or the Explode Slash can just kill all of the minions on top of it, so that's not something you really have to worry about. And you also just don't have to worry about the shield. It moving around isn't too big of a problem because you dash all over the damn place, and its laser is going to be pretty hard to hit because you're going to be on top of it. And I'd say his worst is the Magma Worm, just because the Magma Worm is lame to hit as like any melee character, because, you know, it's under the ground most of the time, so whenever it peeks up, you kind of just have to be like slash slash slash, and then you can't do anything. Oy vey, what did he mess up with this time? Well, this time, it wasn't my opinion that I fucked up with, it's just the take was fucking garbage. So, I'm gonna redo it, and hopefully, it'll be a little better this time. Okay. I'm getting a bit of a pop filter, so hopefully all these problems I keep having with all this shit will be disappearing. But regardless, the best for Rex is the Clay Dunestrider, because its suck ability is easily countered by your suck ability, and you basically just get free healing because it uses that ability. So you purely counter its main ability when it gets to low health. And I would like to say that the Magma Worm is one of the hardest, just because you can't suck it off, because it's just flying all over the damn place, so it's really hard to get a lot of healing out of it. Loader's best is the Stone Titan, just because she can just keep slapping it and keep getting more shield, and honestly, in some places in the game, she can just out-shield the fucking laser. The worst is the Clay Pod, because it's just really strong against melee characters, and it can just outsuck her shield, as well as just destroying her with the burst damage, and not being able to move is also not a very nice thing. I'd say Acrid's best boss to go up against is the Beetle Queen, just because she has a lot of spawning enemies, and the pandemic can just shred through them all, as well as Acrid can just jump on her and just destroy her ass, and the only defense she has is Shotgun Spit, which can insta-kill him, but it's very rare to be insta-killed by the Shotgun Spit at some points. The worst for Acrid is the fucking Dunestrider. It's fucking obvious. I hate the goddamn thing to death, and that's because I lose so many games. Like, I think 90% of my deaths on Acrid are to Dunestriders. For the captain, I would say that the Grandparent is the best, just because he doesn't fucking move, and if you time your orbital bombardment right, he never gets to use his final fucking move. I don't know what to call it. And the worst is the fucking eyeballs. Like, I think they're just annoying to hit with your goddamn orbital bombardment, unless you have the fast ones, which then they're not that bad. And sometimes you can bump them into walls and kill them instantly. Regardless, their "can we get much higher, so high" is just really annoying to dodge unless you get some good item pulls. For the Railgunner, I said his best is the Stone Titan. It's a very easy crit spot to hit, and he's big, slow, and usually you can get out of the way of his laser, you can see it coming. I also said his hardest is the Viagra, just because of these fucking stupid ass crit points at the bottom of their fucking tentacles. Fuck the Viagra. All my homies hate the Viagra. Rounding out this list with the Void Fiend, I would say that his best matchup is the Viagra, just because you can just fucking Kamehameha at it and basically insta-kill it before it even hits its Omega move. I'd say his worst is the Iasaron, just because it's really punishing if you're playing with your health like he does, and if you get hit in the funny bouncy castle ability, then you just get fucked with 1 health, and there's very little chance of you surviving. As well as it's usually outside of your range of your Kamehameha, which makes your life a lot difficult. A lot difficult. Yes, caveman time. A lot difficult. Alright, well, that was all the characters, but now we're going to go over the best against the actual bosses and the worst against those bosses by the bosses. So we're going to start off with the Stone Titan, which the best is the Railgunner. It moves slowly, he can one-shot it, and generally he's just stronger against the Stone Titan. I'd say the worst is Huntress, just because if you misstep once, she's dead. I mean, that's for every boss, but for this one, it's very punishing if you do that. I'd say the strongest against the Wandering Vagrant is the Void Fiend, just because he can bypass all of that nuke bullshit and just insta-kill it. And I'd say the worst is the Railgunner, because look at these fucking hit rust. What is this? The Magma Worm is going to be very weird, because it's not about it killing you, it's about how fast you can kill it, because like, you're not going to die to the Magma Worm 9 times out of 10. It's a very weak boss, it's just hard to kill. I'd say Acrid is the best, just because he can do damage to it without it being in line of sight, which is very strong against something that can go out of sight all the time. I'd say the worst is Mercenary, just because like your point is to dash around it, slicing it up, but like your point is now you just have to dash into where it's spitting up fireballs. It's probably the reason why I have 3 deaths is because of Mercenary. The eyeball is loader. It's loader. Like we all know it's loader. Loader is just like, it just fucks with the AI, it's over. And again, the Captain's probably the worst, just because it's really hard to move with a Captain because he has no movement abilities, and he's just not as strong against the Iasaron like other characters. For the Beetle Queen, I said that the Artificer is the best because she has pretty decent AoE and can just stomp out a lot of her guards and just destroy her entire army. They just destroy her. And I said the worst would be the Bandit, just because he can lack a lot of AoE, and even though he can just destroy her, her armies are a different question altogether, and they can sometimes just get between you and her pretty easy. For the Clay Dunestrider, I said that Rex is the best because he counters a lot of the Clay Dunestrider's main shit, like just says fuck you. And I said the worst is Acrid, and I stick by that. But also, the Engineer has a lot of trouble with that, and I've had some really bad games with Engineer as well, so take your pick. Honestly, for the Grovetender, it's kind of a toss-up between the Huntress and the Bandit. Like, I think they're both equally as good. So, honestly, I would just give it to the Bandit, just because the Bandit has the shotgun, and it wants to be at the back anyway. And at the front, there's tons of chains coming out, so, like, I think the Bandit just takes it by a little bit, because, you know, back crits. And I'd say the Artificer is the weakest against the Grovetender, just because it's Artificer. She's a like low movement fucking glass cannon, and the chains can just fuck her up like real bad, and having a ton of like little fucking bitches coming at you is just a pain in the ass. Even if you have your ult as a flamethrower, it can just make life a lot harder. For the Imp Overlord, I'd say almost every version of MUL-T is the best, except for the saws and maybe the rockets, because I don't use double rockets very often. And for once, I'd say the worst is Engineer, just because the Imp can just smash down his fucking turrets, and that's like most of his damage, just funneled into these 2 little fuckers that can just be destroyed. And his like spikes can just fuck with the engineer while he's too busy trying to charge up his shots and hit him with it. For the construct, I'd say it's another toss-up between two characters, this time the Mercenary and Acrid. Acrid has a lot of AoE, which can get rid of those stupid-ass fucking constructs, has like pimples on it. But I'd say the Mercenary beats it out just a little bit because he has better movement options and can just continue the pressure on this like robot like more and more and dodge its like Kamehamehas a lot easier. And I'd say the Bandit is the worst because it's just like you can't hit the back of this monstrosity. The Grandfather really punishes characters that have very low movement. If you cannot move, then you are fucked when it uses its ultimate ability. That's it. And it's not just getting behind a wall, you are fucked if you are in a fucking nuking range of it. So, what I would say is the best is the Captain because he can just call in the fucking nuke from across the map if he needs to, and he can also just burst it down before it hits the fucking nuke button. And I'd say the worst is probably the Railgunner, just because its crit points are just everywhere. Like, its hands move whenever it does an ability, so it's just annoying to hit, and the mobility on the Railgunner is just lacking, to say the least. To anyone who's made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. This is a weird venture for me, and I poured a lot of time, effort, and man-hours, I guess, into making this video when maybe I should have been making for fools. So anyone who watched through this and gave it a shot, thank you so much. And if this is your first time popping by and you want to see more content like this, do that like, commenting, and subscribing thing. Comment that you actually like this and that you might want to see more, or comment who your favorite character is, or comment anything about the game. You know, I like to see your opinions, I like to see your comments, I like to interact with you people, and any criticism you got, leave it in the comments. That's the only way I'm going to change and get better. Obviously, the quality is going to go up and up because I'm obviously trying to get better on my own, but any criticism you can leave into where I should improve more, that could really help. And other than that, I really hope you had a great Christmas.